सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Lit up by the fire from torches, the Majlis congregation would gather every year at the home of the great merchant Mirza Muhammad Ali. From there, in the darkness before dawn, the Muharram procession of Zuljana, the loyal and courageous stallion which fought with Hussein ibn Ali at the great tragic battle of Karbala, would slowly draw out. 10 men or so would lead the way, softly reciting the profession of their faith. There was no reading of marsiyas, the elegiac poems which commemorate the martyrdom of Ali, nor rhythmic beating of chess. Then, architect and historian Hakim Salim Hamdani records in his magisterial telling of the Shia community's history in Kashmir. One defiant gesture changed the course of history. Two mourners, Mia Ghulam Muhammad Khan and Yusuf Ali Khan, began beating their chests and reciting Noha lamentations as they reached the main road. They were slowly joined by others, and the procession ran on to dusk. Exactly a century ago, in 1923, Kashmir's Shia community thus emerged from centuries of having to cloak its faith in the cover of darkness. Late on Saturday morning, Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha waited at the home of a local notable to join the procession marking Ashura, the 10th day of Muharram, on which Hussein ibn Ali was beheaded at Karbala in 680 CE. 2 days earlier, the procession of the 8th day of Muharram had been restored to its traditional route from Srinagar's Guru Bazar to Dal Gate after 34 long years. A gesture demonstrating decades of poisonous clashes and curfews surrounding congregational worship could be ending. Kashmir's small Shia minority is estimated to make up just 10% or so of its population. It played only a marginal role in the long jihad which began in 1988. In 2018 though, two men displayed posters of slain jihadist pop icon Burhan Wani at an Ashura procession. Sparking florid speculation, the community was preparing to join Kashmir's jihadists. Today, the irony is almost self-evident. In Kabul, an Islamist regime is savagely repressing the Shia, while in Pakistan, jihadists have conducted massacre after massacre for decades. For historians, contrafactual speculation is not always a useful exercise. No one can know with any certainty what might have happened if humans had never tamed fire or invented gunpowder. But in this case, it's tempting to engage in just such idle speculation. What would have the lives of Kashmir's Shia have been like if it had never become part of the framework of colonial India and then the independent India which emerged from it? Early colonial travelers to Kashmir were often struck by the reach and intensity of communal propaganda against the Shia. Large-scale riots had broken out in 1801, Geoffrey Wynne was told, when he visited Kashmir some 25 years later, because the Shias, and I quote, compelled a boy of the Sunni persuasion to eat salt, then tantalized him with water, and when he was about to drink, they shot him to death with arrows so that he might die like Hussein in the desert of thirst. The governor of the time, Abdullah Khan, ordered Shia properties razed. Women were raped and men were killed. Later, dozens of Shia prisoners were paraded through the streets, dragged by a rope running through their noses. Late medieval accounts gathered by Hamdani make clear blood libels, the kind of smears used to malign Jews in medieval Europe, for example, suffused popular culture in Kashmir at the time. The Shia were rumored to use the tip of a spindle to draw blood from Sunni children. Faith was also, however, enmeshed with power. The Turkestani mystic Sayyid Sharfuddin Abdul Rahman Shah who is said to have introduced Islam to Kashmir in the 1300s, is claimed by both Shias and Sunnis. But elites would soon instrumentalize those divisions in the faith. Emperor Humayun, who first forayed into Kashmir in the mid-16th century through his uncle Mirza Haidar Dughlaq, oversaw the beginnings of an effort to construct a theocratic identity for the region. Like other Mughal regions, Kashmir was to be a Sunni state governed by Hanafi law. The chronicler Sayyid Ali smugly recorded that Dughlaq had destroyed the shrine of the Shia mystic Mir Shamsuddin Muhammad al-Iraqi and suppressed the community's religious practices. The Kashmiri king Ghazi Shah Chak, who ascended to the throne in 1561, a decade after Dughlaq's death, restored the Shia faith to the heart of the court, provoking the enmity of Sunni nobles. In one case, a Shia soldier, Yusufinder, was executed for killing a Sunni cleric. The flesh of his body was cut into pieces which people carried as gifts for their womenfolk, and many people drank his blood as sharbat, records the contemporary Baharistan-e-Shahi Chronicle. Hussain Shah, Ghazi Shah's successor, was however later compelled to order the trial of the cleric who sentenced the soldier Yusufinder for giving false judgment. 3 Sunni clerics were now condemned. Elite Sunni courtiers began petitioning the Mughals for help, casting the Chucks as a threat to their religion. Liberal and cultured, the next Chuk Sultan, Yusuf Shah, realized his fractured court probably wouldn't survive and switched sides to Emperor Akbar. Yusuf Shah's son, Yaqub Shah, tried to rally the faithful by ordering his clerics to read Friday prayers in the name of the first Shia Imam, Ali ibn Abi Talib. The Qazi of Srinagar refused and was executed. Akbar's army conquered Srinagar in 1586, extinguishing Shia power forever. From the middle of the 18th century, Kashmir fell under the power of the Durrani kings of Kandahar, who succeeded the Mughals. Faith became an increasingly fraught political issue. 2 Subedars or provincial governors, Amir Khan and Sukhjivan, sought to secede from the court at Kabul. The fact that the first was Shia and the second Hindu did not pass unnoticed. Like the Mughals before them, the Durranis saw heresy not just as a religious problem but as a political threat and worked to brutally impose their religious order. Governor Buland Khan, following claims that the Shia of Zadibal had used indecent language against a Sunni preacher, ordered the entire neighborhood burned down. The ears and noses of some of the survivors were cut off, and frenzied mobs attacked Zadibal again on Muharram in 1801, killing, looting and raping their way through the largely Shia neighborhood. The provocation, by some accounts, accurate or otherwise, was an effort by the Shia to take out a procession from their closed shrine and recite martyrdom elegies. A dispute between merchants in 1793 had led to similar large-scale violence. The crushing of Afghan power by Maharaja Ranjit Singh in 1821 saw Kashmir come under Sikh rule. Though the new rulers enforced several anti-Muslim measures, for Shia this was to prove something of a tipping point. For the first time in centuries, the state itself was no longer controlled by Sunni elites. In 1841, Sheikh Ghulam Muhyiddin, an ethnic Punjabi Shia, was appointed to govern Kashmir by the Lahore court, followed by his son Sheikh Imamuddin. In spite of its expressly Hindu ideological moorings, the Dogra state which succeeded the Sikhs was nudged by British India to follow a policy of religious indifference, if not tolerance. In 1872, large-scale rioting broke out in Zadibal again, amid simmering tensions between Sunni shawl artisans and Shia factory owners. This time though, the Shia Imambara in Srinagar, which was destroyed in the violence, was rebuilt with support from the state. The Shia Hamdani notes were also able to capitalize on expanding opportunities in trade that opened up during the colonial period. Early in the 20th century, both Shias and Sunnis were able to join together in pursuit of independence. Then came that day in 1923 when the Shia faith revealed itself in the light of the daylight sun. Even as the long jihad exploded in Kashmir 6 decades after that, Shias watched events across the border with considerable fear. In Gilgit, just across the line of control in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, General Muhammad Zia-ul-Haq's military regime butchered hundreds of Shia, following a rising trend of killings since 1983. 10 years later, the Taliban, backed by Pakistan, would slaughter 100 more Shias in Mazar-e-Sharif. For the most part, Shias in Kashmir maintained a wary distance from the Islamists who were fighting to tear the state out of India. Even though Shias had very limited political space in post-independence Kashmir, Sheikh Muhammad Abdullah's governments, for example, did not include a single minister from the community. Memories of life under Sunni authority may have tempered any enthusiasm for secession. Low-level communal friction did and does, of course, survive. In the course of Akbar Jahan Abdullah's election campaign to the Lok Sabha in 1977, how workers appealed to Sunni voters not to allow her to be humiliated by the Shia, a reference to her rival's faith. And in 1983, some Shia homes in Zadibal were set on fire by National Conference workers after the Congress's Iftikhar Hussain Ansari won an assembly seat from Patan. The single Shia jihadist group that ever formed in those years, the Hizbul Momineen, was set up by the ISI Directorate to claim responsibility for the assassination of pro-Indian Shiites who were actually being killed by Sunni jihadis, journalist Arif Jamal has recorded. The last major incident of violence against Shias was carried out by one of those Sunni groups, the Hizbul Mujahideen, which killed 12 civilians in the course of an attempt to assassinate Ansari. Like all religious communities in Kashmir, the Shia know their long-term prospects are dependent not just on the state, but on coexistence with all communities and the construction of a durable peace. This month's Muharram processions are a significant step in that direction. I'm Praveen Swami and I'm National Security Editor of ThePrint. Thank you for watching Security Code.